Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Unraveling Politics, a weekly political analysis show. This is a very special episode. First of all, happy Election Day. Unlike last year, this isn't one that's super big or exciting, but it is important nonetheless. So, we're going to be doing something I've never done before, and I'm going to be endorsing candidates in this round of elections. So, obviously, I can't have an opinion on every race all over our country. So, I'll be focusing on the top three I think are the most important and have the most national implications. So, and I've talked about them before. So the races for governor in Virginia and New Jersey, and I'm also going to briefly talk about the NYC mayoral race. As always, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Before I go on, if you're wondering about the races themselves, check the episode I released yesterday. That is the one that talks about politics of the race, like some of the polling and what we're expecting. That's for that episode. This one is more of an opinion-based episode, so that one is... So if you're more interested in that, I recommend you check that one out, and then maybe come back to this one. So let's talk about the races in Virginia and New Jersey. So I'm going to start with New Jersey. I'm not going to be endorsing any candidate in this race. Instead, I'm going to be advising voting against the Democrat Mikey Sherrill. So, which basically means I'm going to say support the Republican. So why am I against Mikey Sherrill? Well, New Jersey has been run by Democrats for the last 8 years. While the state's fiscal health has improved, electric costs have soared and red tape bureaucracy has only increased. Even Mikey Sherrill, the who gives Governor Murphy's time in office, she rated it a B, admitted these things. Even though I would be inclined to support Jack Ciattarelli, who is the Republican, for example, he supports tough on crime, illegal immigration, he wants to reduce state spending, he supports voter ID requirements, and begin counting ballots 25 days before Election Day. Actually, I think Democrats would support that as well. I think the plan to refund the difference for out-of-state college students who come into New Jersey to take classes, graduate, and live there for 3 years. That's very smart, and other states should do that too, especially here in Pennsylvania. I think those are good policies. It encourages people to go to school in Jersey and stay there. Of course, I'm a Pennsylvanian. We don't like New Jersey, so I'm obviously biased. But if I wasn't biased, then I would say that's a good idea. However, his close ties to Trump, I cannot support him for that, and I really don't like either candidate, so thankfully I don't have to vote in this election. As for Sherrill, her campaign, just from her website, you can tell is overwhelmingly negative. And I believe, as the party of power in New Jersey, that is not a good thing. For example, the affordability plan says, quote, "And there's no higher cost than the price that all of us will have to pay if we don't stand up to the chaos coming out of Donald Trump and Elon Musk in Washington. As Trump and Musk work to dismantle Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and defund programs that support our students and our seniors, I'll fight like hell to stop their reckless assault that raises costs for all of us and use every power available to me as governor to protect New Jerseyans." So, first of all, future Governor Sherrill, because she's likely to win, you really don't have that much power. In fact, you are a congresswoman right now. She could be doing these things right now, but she's not. And my problem with everything that she and Democrats promise to do is Democrats control the state legislature, and they've done it since 2002. Except for Governor Christie's 8 years in office, from 2010 to 2018, Democrats have a complete control of the state for almost 25 years. It's a matter of trust, and if I was a Jersey resident, I wouldn't trust them with another 4 years of failure. Mikey Sherrill, for example, tells us that mental health problems and learning loss are a problem in New Jersey, but my question to her would be, who ordered the lockdowns? Who ordered the mandates? Was it the evil Republicans? No, it was Governor Murphy, the governor she supported, and the policies that she supported. It's the same old thing. I can't trust her, even if most of her policies are good. I can't trust her to deliver on any of them. But Jack has not won my trust either. Moving on to a couple hundred miles south to Virginia, I will definitely be endorsing Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears. So Winsome Sears, in my opinion, is what Americans should aspire to be. She was born in Jamaica in the 1960s, and she earned 3 degrees and served in the U.S. Marines as an electrician. She won in 2021, becoming lieutenant governor, becoming the only black female to hold the office in America, and Virginia's first woman lieutenant governor. This is what she said in her victory speech back then.
I'm telling you that what you are looking at is the American dream. The American dream. When my father came to this country, August 11th of 1963, he came at the height of the civil rights movement from Jamaica. He came, and I said to him, "But it was such a bad time for us. Why did you come?" And he said, "Because America was where the jobs and the opportunities were." And he only came with $1.75. $1.75. took any job he could find, and he put himself through school and started his American dream. And then, yes, and now he's comfortably retired. And then he came and got me when I was 6 years old. And when I stepped on that Pan Am Boeing 737 and landed at JFK, I landed in a new world. And so let me tell you this. I am not even first-generation American. When I joined the Marine Corps, I was still a Jamaican. But this country had done so much for me, I was willing to die for this country. USA! And so I say to you, victory indeed. But I say to you, there are some who want to divide us, and we must not let that happen. They would like us to believe we are back in 1963 when my father came. We can live where we want. We can eat where we want. We own the water fountains. We have had a black president elected not once but twice, and here I am, living proof.
So that was heartwarming. It was heartwarming then. I remember watching it, and it's heartwarming today. Truly inspiring, and I remember that night very well. On policy, she's tough on crime, tough on illegal immigration, supports right-to-work laws, which lets people decide if they want to be in unions, and I believe that should be up to workers to decide whether they want to be in a union. She will stand up against people who say we should have men and women's sports, and unlike former Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger, she has integrity. As I'll explain with Mondami, I seek integrity. And I think the nail in the coffin against Spanberger, which is her opponent, was this. And I'll play a video. You can see the disgusting smile on Abigail Spanberger's face. Hopefully I'll be able to show the video. And I've talked about this on the show before, but the Democrat running for Attorney General reportedly ran 46 miles an hour over the speed limit, 116 miles an hour on a 70-mile-per-hour highway. And as his punishment, he got no jail time. He did community service at his own PAC instead of jail time or probation. And that's not even the worst of it. As bad as that is, there's an even worse scandal for him. He admitted he sent texts that he wanted to see a political opponent's wife and his children murdered. Abigail Spanberger still supports him to this day. When she was asked, this is what she said, or didn't say, as you'll see. This was turned into an ad for the Sears campaign. I didn't add this music in the background. I thought it was kind of lame, but it carries my point over really well.
Would it take him pulling the trigger? Is that what would do it? And then you would say he needs to get out of the race? Abigail, you have nothing to say? Abigail, what if he said it about your 3 children? Is that when you would say he should get out of the race, Abigail? You're running to be governor.
Miss Earl Sears.
I mean, we're talking about murder. We're talking about someone's life being taken from them. Have you nothing to say about that? Are you not going to address it? Really, you can't go any further. You're a governor. You're supposed to stand up for all the people. Are you saying political murder is all right? Have some political courage. What you have done is you are taking political calculations about your future as governor. Well, as governor, you have to make hard choices, and that means telling Jay Jones to leave the race.
And all of you should be upset about that. Totally unacceptable and totally un-American. However, Scamberger, as I like to call her, looks like she's going to win, and the Attorney General candidate, Jay Jones, looks like he's going to win too. Meanwhile, in New York City, I expect to be sort of getting what I would like. I'm not a huge fan of any candidate. My number one would be probably Republican Curtis Sliwa. I think what he's done in New York City, where he founded the nonprofit Guardian Angels, which is supposed to be a nonviolent way to prevent crime, I think that's very positive and shows why you see him in the red cap all the time. I didn't like how he said Reagan was the best president of our lifetimes. In fact, Reagan was one of the worst, but that's a story for another time. But Sliwa still has my respect. However, if you look at the polls, he has basically no chance of winning. So I'll be recommending voters vote against Andrew Cuomo, either for Mondami or for Sliwa. And let me explain. I don't think Mondami's economic plans are going to stand up to scrutiny. For example, state-run grocery stores have never worked on any country on earth. And I hope if he get elected, he can show for one more time the slower people among us that it doesn't work. Now, one of my friends compared it to a public option, but for grocery stores. Except here's the problem. Healthcare insurance, the profit margins are huge in many of the industries. But for grocery stores, the profit margin is between 1 and 4%. 1 and 4%. So even if it did work, you would be saving, instead of buying a onion for $2, you'd be buying it for $1.92. Like, it's really not that much. And that's in the best case scenario. At the same time, it's hard not to respect Mondami. For example, here's a small clip from the mayoral debate a couple weeks ago that I'm going to play, the first mayoral debate.
This is not a job for a first-timer. Any day, you could have a hurricane, God forbid, a 9/11, a health pandemic. If you don't know what you're doing, people could die.
Sir Mamdani, want to respond? And if we have a health pandemic, then why would New Yorkers turn back to the governor who sent seniors to their death in nursing homes? That's the kind of experience that's on offer here today. What I don't have in experience, I make up for in integrity. And what you don't have in integrity, you could never make up for in experience.
So he's right. We can't go back to Andrew Cuomo. And I'll tell you this. I believe Cuomo wants to return to statewide office. If he becomes New York City's mayor, I believe he will try to run for governor. And if you aren't aware, Mondami was referring to putting COVID patients in nursing homes, and which is what Governor Wolf did here in my native Pennsylvania, so I'm quite sensitive to this. It led to thousands of extra deaths, and the sad thing is, when Cuomo resigned in 2021, if all he did was kill a bunch of old people, then he would probably still be in office. He would probably still be governor of New York today. But instead, the impeachment investigation was not really about killing old people. It was about when he was accused of sexual harassment. And that's what brought him down, not killing old people. So now it seems like he's making a comeback. And if you ask me, but killing a bunch of old people is worse than groping a few ladies. But we can argue that another time. So I'm highly critical of Mondami, believe me. But as Mondami said, he has integrity. Andrew Cuomo does not. So if I was a New Yorker, I would vote for Mondami or Sliwa. Lastly, there is an election that I guarantee you almost none of you have ever heard of, and that is for mayor of Lyons in Berks County, Pennsylvania. My friend Alex is running there against a write-in candidate. Alex is a 22-year-old college graduate, and he seeks to represent a town of 439 people, which is pretty cool. Of course, I endorse him. The other guy is not very good. If for some reason you want to learn more, I attached his announcement in the local newspaper in the description. Lastly, we will be having another special episode tomorrow. I know 3 episodes in a row. Isn't that exciting? Or otherwise, that's it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in as always, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.